Hello and welcome. You're watching Nothing But the Truth. The news from the Kashmir Valley is increasingly depressing and disturbing. Whilst the attention of the nation and much of the media has been focused on Dalit killings and protests by writers, not enough attention has been paid to the crisis in the valley. For almost a week, large parts of South Kashmir and since yesterday, even areas of North Kashmir have witnessed either violent protests or are even under curfew. Cities like Srinagar, Anantnag and Bijbehara have at times completely shut down, whilst legislators of the ruling party claim they are scared to visit their constituencies for fear of being beaten up. So what exactly is happening in Kashmir? Is there a danger things can spiral out of control? And what steps are urgently needed to tackle the situation? My guest is the former Chief Minister of the state and President of the National Conference, Farooq Abdullah. Dr. Abdullah, for most of this week, Anantnag, Bijbehara, uptown Srinagar and large parts of South Kashmir, and now, to be honest, even parts of North Kashmir, have either witnessed violent protests or even come under curfew. Top Hurriyat leaders are under arrest, and to my surprise, PDP leader Tariq Hamid Kara says that ruling party legislators are scared to visit their constituencies for fear of being beaten up. As a former chief minister, how worried are you by the situation in your state?
I'm not worried only about the state. I'm worried about the whole nation. The communal tendencies that are rising in the nation are threatening the very existence of this state. And what is happening here is actually the fallout from that.
I want very much...
the young man who died in that truck accident in Udhampur, that has flared up like anything. And people are justified. What was his fault? So if people are rising against it, it's because the whole nation is on turmoil. It's not only Jammu and Kashmir.
Dr. Abdullah, I'll talk to you about what's happening in the whole nation in a moment's time. But first, for the benefit of those south of the Banihal Pass who don't follow Kashmir and sadly don't understand its emotions and politics as well as they should, I want to concentrate on what's happening in Kashmir. Clearly, the turmoil and the disturbance in your state is a reaction to the brutal killing of Zahid Rasool Bhatt. You referred to it a moment ago. Explain to the audience, why has this event so deeply shaken Kashmiris?
You see, this young man had nothing to do with politics. For the first time, he was going to see what the nation is like. And on his return, he was attacked and finally paid with his life. Now that is what is playing on the minds of the people. That are we safe in this huge nation as Muslims? And statements that are made by various political leaders of the other parties that are damaging. How can a chief minister of Haryana say that if Muslims have to live here, they have to live by his rules? We are Indians not because of him, because of our own. And that is what plays on the mind of now. Kashmiris are not uneducated. They see the media. They see the internet. They get all information. They are worried. Worried for their children, for the people who are working all over the nation. This is also adding. Then the Muharram processions being banned. That also adds to the conflict. So it's a completely disjointed government that does not seem to realize how things are changing so rapidly, and they are doing nothing about it.
Zahid,
if they think that only by police brutal force they are going to be able to control the situation here, they are pretty wrong about it.
You know, Zahid,
we have to win the hearts and minds of the people.
Can I interrupt?
Or the battle is lost.
Can I interrupt? Zahid Rasool Bhatt's killing is part of the beef controversy that goes back to the Jammu and Kashmir High Court surprise decision to enforce sections of the Ranbir Penal Code criminalizing the slaughter of cows and the sale of beef, which, to be honest, had been in disuse for 70 years or more. The controversy also includes engineer Rashid's beef party and the fact that he was then beaten up in the assembly and thereafter his face was blackened in Delhi. How has this entire beef controversy been viewed by Kashmiri Muslims? Have they come to see it as a sort of litmus test either of their identity or at least of their rights as citizens of India?
You are absolutely right. They have, after this incident, both of Engineer Rashid, whether in the assembly, his mistake of giving the beef party in the assembly, in the chambers of the MLA hostel, we all are against that part of it. Then the beating of the MLAs to him was also not right in a democracy. Both things were wrong. We never said that they are right. But this has added further in the minds of the people of the reaction that happened from that man, the young man dying in that incident of the Udhampur. So all these things have made people to start thinking, are we really safe in this nation? Are Muslims safe? That is the problem. And I'm sorry to say, Prime Minister has not come out so openly to say, denounce all these actions by his party men or the RSS against the minority community.
You know,
so all this is threatening the Kashmiri mind.
When you say that all of this is leading Kashmiri Muslims to ask the questions, are we safe in this country? Are you saying to me that this beef issue, with all its ramifications, has become another element of the division or maybe even the alienation that separates the valley from the rest of India? Has it got to such a serious point?
Yes, it has. Do not underestimate this. The younger mind who are educated are thinking about it. We must take steps urgently. All those who are nationalists, whether they belong to one party or the other, must take action quickly to turn the tide to a different side.
So what you're saying...
Don't sit on the edge of the disaster.
So what you're saying to an audience in Delhi that is unfamiliar with and often not even following events in Kashmir is that the beef issue in its full ramifications could develop into a sort of emotional breaking point between the valley and the rest of the country, that this is becoming an issue which, if ignored, could seriously create disaffection to the point where Kashmiris question whether they belong to this country. Is it really getting to that point?
Karan, not only this, I'm afraid of another thing. The breaking of the state of Jammu, Kashmir and Ladakh. Jammu going one way, Leh going another way, and the valley going other way. This is more dangerous also. People are not waking up to the dangers that are in front of us.
So there are two lines of fracture that threaten. One that separates Kashmir, or the valley in particular, from the rest of India, and a second that fractures the state internally. Both are potent dangers that are staring us at the face at this moment of time.
You see, Karan, the point here is all these incidences that take place in the country have their ramifications here also. So you can't tell them they are blind to things. Your media is so strong. I mean, look at that Dalit boy dying, and then with the minister saying that a dog dies by stone throwing, he's not responsible. Now what sort of a statement is that?
Can I come back to this beef issue for a moment?
All these things
criminalize
the whole atmosphere.
Can I come back to the beef issue for a moment? Recently, the Jammu and Kashmir High Court left it to the state government to resolve the Ranbir Penal Code issue and the attempt to ban beef by enforcing a law that has been in disuse for 70 years or more. But so far, the state government hasn't acted. As a former Chief Minister, what is your advice to the state government, since the High Court has given them the opportunity to act as they see fit? What would you advise Mufti Muhammad Saeed and his BJP partners to do?
First of all, let me make one thing clear. Islam is very clear on one thing. Do not do anything that will harm any other religion. It is absolutely clear. Therefore, we are quite clear about it, that we are not here to damage the relationship with any other religion. That our religion says that if you do something which harms them, and they will do something that will harm you, will you be able to take it? That is what I would tell Mufti Saab, that he must immediately look into it and see that these things are dampened down.
But
People don't, on the whole, eat beef. Why are you making beef such a huge issue? There are many more issues. Unemployed youth here. What do they do?
Dr. Abdullah, I appreciate your sentiment, and the audience will appreciate your
disaster
sentiment.
that took place last year.
But come back to...
Nothing done for them.
Dr. Abdullah, I appreciate your sentiment.
Why beef?
But the reason it's beef is because the judges of the High Court in your state, at least in the Jammu part of it, enforced a code that hadn't been enforced for 70 years. What should Mufti Saab do now?
Karan, Mufti Saab should call all the leaders of the parties here, whether in Jammu or here, and then sit down with them and find a solution out which is political. Not think that only BJP and PDP can be the whole solution to our problems.
That's very clear. Let me put to you a compromise that some people think could perhaps work, and ask whether you agree. A suggestion being made is that after the all-party meeting, the all-party consultations you're advising, a sensible solution might be to permit the slaughter of cows and the sale of beef in the valley and perhaps in Ladakh, but to ban it in Jammu. That might be in accord with the traditions, customs, sentiments of all the people of the three parts of the state. Does that sort of compromise, split solution work for you?
Well, this will all come up when there is a meeting of all minds, and I'm sure some sort of a solution like that might emerge, which will balance all these three regions.
Okay, let's widen our discussion, because this entire beef controversy and the turmoil, disturbance, disaffection and alienation it's created, the protests that we're seeing for the last 5 days on the streets of your state, is happening at the same time as reports in the Hindu, just to take that one paper, suggest that there is a general across-the-board rise in militancy and communal incidents in the state. A senior unnamed army official has told the Hindu paper that the state has witnessed what he calls a cycle of violence, something we have not witnessed in recent times. And in fact, this unnamed senior army official compares the situation today to the communal strife in 2008 during the Amarnath land controversy. Is that sort of worrying, disturbing background what you see and sense around you?
Yes, it is disturbing. Militancy is definitely growing. People are becoming more militant because of the mistrust that Delhi continues to have. That mistrust must go. Otherwise, this will grow so rapidly and nobody will be able to control it.
One of the things I've read about the growing militancy that has surfaced and is worrying people, particularly in the last 3-4 months, are reports that in fact it is young Kashmiris who are being lured not by infiltrators coming from across the border, but by the internet appeals of a certain Burhan Wani. In other words, the new emerging militancy is not fueled by instigation from across the border, but by domestic sources and by this Mr. Burhan Wani in particular. If that's true, how worrying is it?
Karan, it's absolutely true. And it is worrying, no doubt about it. But what are we doing about it? Why? Because the idle brain is the biggest thing that will work on these things. Now, get them busy, get them doing something. Nothing is happening. 1 year this government has been in, BJP and PDP. What have they done? What is their track record? There is no money in the market. Prices of pulses have gone up to sky. Poor person can't afford to buy that. What does he do?
It's very interesting that you...
Fully educated, MAs, PhDs, God knows how many degrees they hold, just running on the street. They are all captured by these various things that come on the net, various books that are circulating. For everything we blame Pakistan, which is not right.
You're saying to me, Dr. Abdullah, that in fact it's joblessness, it's hopelessness, it's the absence of a livelihood and therefore the absence of a credible future that they can aspire to that is driving young, very possibly educated Kashmiris towards militancy. In other words, it is the failure of a future that's pushing them.
They don't see any future. They don't see any future, Karan. And with the tendency in the nation, Muslims feel far more threatened. Now you have to control the communal tendencies in the nation itself. Look at the president. 3 times he spoke about pluralism, about secular India. Now people are questioning. And as Engineer Rashid today in the papers, he says, where is Gandhi's India? What does Farooq Abdullah tell them?
Can I put this to you? There is a view that the situation in Kashmir has markedly deteriorated after the BJP-PDP government came into being. Today, or rather yesterday, according to the Hindu newspaper, even someone like Muzaffar Hussain Beg, who 6 months ago was a strong and vocal champion of the BJP-PDP alliance, is now openly expressing reservations, perhaps even suggesting that this alliance has outlived its utility and maybe even failed. Why has this alliance that many thought could bridge the divisions between Hindu and Muslim, Jammu and the Valley, failed so obviously and dismally in just 6 months flat?
Now, one thing, look at when this government was formed. It was formed on development, that we will develop rapidly. All these destruction that has taken place by the floods will be immediately looked into and compensations will be paid. Thirdly, when the government employees are transferred, BJP sees to it that the officer should be a Hindu and PDP sees that the officer should be a Muslim. Now when you try to differentiate an officer between Hindu and a Muslim, then where are you taking this Indian democracy to? Officer is an officer, whatever his religion may be. He has to serve the community. Whether he is a Muslim he is serving, or a Hindu he is serving, or a Bodh he is serving, or a Sikh or a Christian he is serving. This has also sparked tragedy inside the government itself.
So in other words,
that is why Mr. Kara and Beg are speaking against it and are saying openly, please dissociate yourself with the present situation that you have got an alliance with the party. So you must break that alliance. That's why they're saying this.
So you're saying to me, Dr. Abdullah, that in fact there are 3 or 4 causes why this alliance government within a short period of 6 months has not just dismayed and disillusioned people, but is viewed as a failure. A, because it hasn't delivered flood relief. B, because the Prime Minister's special package long promised simply hasn't materialized and no one knows when it will. But more importantly, because the very functioning of this government, and you gave the example of the way they appoint officers, is further communalizing the situation, and instead of healing, it's pushing the state apart. In other words, instead of joining the Kashmiris together, this alliance is pushing them towards being Hindus and Muslims and separating them. Have I understood you correctly?
Absolutely correctly. That is the crux of the whole thing. Karan, I hope you come and see yourself in Kashmir. What is the situation? And then you will wake up to the situation that is here. It is very dangerous.
Dr. Abdullah,
And should be. Even if Prime Minister gives a 1 lakh crore, it's not going to win the hearts and minds of people by only dishing money.
what more is needed?
It's not going to. You have to find the crux of it is final solution of this state has to be done with Pakistan. Otherwise we'll suffer. The terrorists will keep on coming. What do we have to show except God's beauty that we have got? And tourists don't come when there is fear that their life is not safe.
So you're also saying to me
Has the
that...
Prime Minister tried to remove that fear in the minds of the people of India?
So you're also saying to me, Dr. Abdullah, that the complete collapse of any possibility of meaningful talks between India and Pakistan in the near future is adding to the disillusionment and alienation and disaffection of the Kashmiri people. That in fact, it's not just attention to their domestic needs. The Prime Minister needs to find urgently a solution to the problem of Kashmir split between India and Pakistan.
Yes, it is vital. Vital for our survival, so that we can progress like other states of India.
But that is on the back burner.
Other states have reached the moon and we are still on the ground.
But the possibility of talks with Pakistan are receding further and further into the background. India is insisting no talks until first Pakistan agrees to talk on terror. The Pakistanis, for their parts, are saying we want to talk on all subjects, not just terror alone. Different interpretations over UFA are now dividing the countries, and who knows when that will be sorted out.
Karan, didn't Bajpayee bring General Musharraf to India even after Kargil war, knowing fully well that there is no other way but to find solutions with the neighbor? And I remember his words. He said, friends can be changed, neighbors cannot be changed. We can either live in friendship with the neighbor and progress, or live in animosity, and both our progresses will be slowed down.
In which case, Dr. Abdullah,
That is what I would tell Prime Minister to remember. He is following the path that the ex-Prime Minister put forward before him. इंसानियत के दायरे में इसका फैसला करना है.
So very quickly, my last question, and we have only 30 seconds. Your advice to Narendra Modi is, do what Atal Bihari Vajpayee did. Follow his footsteps, learn and heed his advice, and you will be on the right track.
I would tell him, if he wants to become the next Mahatma Gandhi of India, then be strong enough to fight those forces that are trying to divide this nation, divide religions, divide areas. Fight them and become greater than Mahatma Gandhi.
Dr. Abdullah, a pleasure speaking to you. Thank you very much indeed for this interview. That was Farooq Abdullah, former Chief Minister of Jammu and Kashmir, opening our eyes to an extremely deeply disturbing and for many unknown and ununderstood situation developing in the valley, reaching possibly a crisis flashpoint. If you have been, thanks for listening. Goodbye, good night.